What is up, everyone? We're the Midtown High Dropouts. My name is Kyle, and with us today are,
Anthony
Nuts.
and we
and
have a special guest today, Tyler.
you there? Oh my god.
Are you doing a fucking bit right now, or?
Tyler, what's up?
Yeah, not much. I mean, just glad to be
God
here.
damn it! Why didn't you say anything?
Come on.
All right, we're keeping this in.
Fuck. Okay.
All right, today's episode we're gonna talk about Dan Slott, who's the current writer of Amazing Spider-Man. He's been on the book since like 2000. It's been a
2000
decade.
Yeah.
7.
2007. That's
And-
a long ass time.
And I think it's safe to say that 75% of us here hasn't been reading ASM that long. So, Nuts and Anthony, I think it's safe to say that your like first like encounter with Slott would be Superior Spider-Man, right?
No, volume,
mine
3 for
was Brand New Day. My sister bought it for me on Christmas Day. I was like, "Oh, this is cool," but you know, it's Dan Slott, so. And then I read
So-
Superior.
Right. And Tyler, you've been reading Dan Slott since like 2007, right?
Yeah. I started reading Spider-Man. Like I started buying the comic just before One More Day, when JMS was still writing.
And that's right. Cool. So when he, never mind. How do I want to do this? So Nuts, you said Volume 3 was your first thing with Slott.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. I thought it'd be Superior. Mine was probably I got in around Ends of the Earth when Ends of the Earth ended, and I read up to Superior, and I did Volume 3, of course. Volume 4. Volume 4 is like the worst thing he's done at the moment, probably in my opinion.
Probably.
Yeah. So Tyler, you say that Dan Slott has a pretty like mixed run. Right now, it's pretty bad. How did he start off?
So,
Would you say?
so in Brand New Day, overall the quality was very mixed.
Yep.
You know, there were some. I mean, it was hard because it came off the baggage of One More Day, and you know that was a huge controversial thing. So obviously, a lot of negativity right out of the gate. I was young enough where it was like I was sort of more naive. I was only like 13, so it's like I liked MJ together with him. Why are they not together? Why is this happening? So I just kept reading because I had just started buying comics. So, but then the quality was very up and down. So you had like, because there was like 3 different writers at least, and like a bunch of different artists. There was
Right.
it was the think tank, the Spider-Man think tank.
Because
And so
the book shipped like 3 times a month when Brand
It
New Day
did.
started, right?
So, you know, the quality varied a lot. And with Dan Slott specifically, you sort of just continue that trend of having good and bad stories. Like, I mean, he wrote one of my favorite Brand New Day stories ever, New Ways to Die. That was awesome. I love New Ways to Die. You know, introducing Anti-Venom and, you know, doing all that for Eddie Brock.
Mhm.
But then he also wrote some real bad stories, like their Paper Doll and Screwball. Like those were some of the stupidest villains ever.
Those were definitely stories I missed when I went back and read Dan Slott. But I would say Dan Slott really came into prominence unless there's something else when he started writing Big Time, right? Because that's when he started
yeah,
being the only.
That's when Dan Slott was given like the sole. Yeah,
And what do you think of Big Time?
I generally enjoyed most of Big Time.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good too. Did either of you guys read Big Time at all, Anthony, Nuts?
Nope.
I have
I'm
not. Not at
All right. Well, I guess
Yeah.
this is gonna be like Superior onwards then.
Yeah.
I would say Slott before Superior in Volume 3 and 4 was pretty consistent with decent stories because I enjoyed Ends of the Earth for the most part.
Yeah, me
The
too.
only storyline.
Definitely enjoyed Ends of the Earth too. Like even though I
Right.
said I like Big Time, I still wasn't a huge fan of Ramos's art.
Oh yeah.
God,
Ends of the Earth,
it's
it
awful.
helped that like half of it was done by Caselli. So that
Oh
was-
yeah. It's funny we should say that because I actually when I was younger, I'm still pretty young now. I used to like Ramos's look a lot because really like the cartoony look. And it wasn't until recently I started seeing Ramos as like a bad artist because he is on Champions now, and in Champions is not like a pretty looking book.
Dear God, I hate his art. It's awful.
Yeah.
The hands are huge as fuck, and the feet are just squares. Their necks are unusually long. I should pull up that picture of Spider-Man's neck just like stretching out like a goddamn giraffe.
Get the Wolverine like volcano
Yeah.
neck.
Volcano neck.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
I also what I remember reading Slot was he was No One Dies, right? He also implemented that whole big character thing for Spider-Man after the Spider Slayer arc that he did.
Yeah, that was in a big time. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That was probably what I really liked that arc. I thought it was pretty great. And there was also that issue where they did the Fantastic Four. They talked about In Memoriam the Human Torch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just kind of rambling here. But I guess it started really going downhill with the Alpha arc. Let's talk about Alpha for a minute, who lasted
I was just going to say, that's definitely, like, because, we can get into Superior. A lot of people like Superior, but for me, I don't. So
we'll get there.
It definitely, for me, yeah, we'll get there. But he definitely started going downhill with Alpha. Alpha was the low point of his run.
Right. Was the Lizard, like, was No Turning Back before or after Alpha?
Turning Back, was that the one where Connor's got his brain back?
Yeah, it was one where they tied it in with the first Amazing movie because they did a Lizard arc. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I want to say that was after Alpha, and so I still enjoyed that.
Because I thought No Turning Back was pretty decent, and I liked Dying Wish. I guess we're gonna get into Superior soon because we're talking about Dying Wish, which is the arc where Doctor Octave.
Yeah, I can talk a lot more about Superior.
All right, yeah, we'll definitely get in there. It's kind of Tyler and I running the show right now.
Yeah.
So Dying Wish is what's your take on Dying Wish, Tyler?
I was at a point where I hadn't bought Spider-Man comics for a long time. Like, they were just sitting in my pull list, and then spoilers, Spider-Man dies. I'm like, what? So I had to like run to my comic shop. I bought like at least like comics I hadn't read.
Jeez.
And then I just read this giant stack, and then I finally got to ASM, like the last arc, and I hated it. I was like, you can't just. I don't want to read about Doc Ock as Spider-Man. What are you doing? Like, you end this with Peter Parker losing to Doc Ock,
right?
And he only becomes a good guy because he like forces these memories on him that he already had. Like, I was not a fan of it.
And then that leads. So Dying Wish already left a sour taste in your mouth. That leads into Superior, which everyone here has read. Nuts, you've read it, right? Just want to be clear.
Superior? Oh no.
You haven't read Superior. All right. Well, I'm gonna be honest. When I bought the first issue of Superior, I was genuinely surprised that it was, of. Did my mic just die? No, it didn't. Never mind. The first issue of Superior, I thought it was a fun ride, just seeing Octavius almost murder someone, but that's what I thought. But I was pretty on and off on that run. I never stayed on it because I just lost interest, I suppose. Anthony, what about you?
I read a whole bunch of issues in one day, a lot, and then I just sort of stopped from there. Been meaning to pick it back up just to finish the fucking story, right? I forgot where I stopped.
And
I can't remember that.
You overall liked Superior, right?
I thought it was pretty good, yeah.
All right, and then Tyler, you already made your opinion very clear. You hated it.
Yeah, I did not like Superior at all.
Now, all right.
I've got it back and read it since I have Marvel Unlimited and stuff. So I have read it. And looking back on it, I can appreciate it as a concept. I just don't like how the execution played out. That's a big problem with Slott that I can get into later. But yeah, so.
All right. Right. Oh shit. Okay. So if you let's say you never touched a comic book in your life. If you have a basic idea of what Spider-Man is. If you went into Superior, Superior was the first comic to pick up. Would you say it's any good? Like if you were just most
Oh.
casual person alive, more casual than the person who hasn't read Green Eggs and Ham on the server.
Inside jokes.
How would you say? Yeah. How would you say the quality of that is
For Superior?
I want to say
for Superior? Yeah.
it would be good because I've seen a lot of people that is the case and they enjoyed it. So
Right.
there's context behind it.
It is
Absolutely.
a pretty interesting idea to have
And I
him.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree that everyone has to be like retarded to not figure out that it's not Peter in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
and everything was coincidental, like when they like actually tie down Otto and they look at his brainwaves, none of the smart people were there, so they couldn't tell something was off, which is absolutely bullshit.
I know, right? Just that was actually
you-
pretty dumb.
Yeah.
There were definitely stupid moments, but you know.
And I thought like the once Otto figured out Peter was still in there and he went in to fight him in his brain, I thought that was pretty good, but I did not like how it turned out because it was just bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, the thing I didn't like about that specifically is that he beat Peter because he's like, "Oh, Peter, you didn't want me to save that little girl because you didn't want to get discovered." And I don't think Peter would have ever done that. I don't think Peter would have ever stopped him from saving a little girl.
Yep.
Just out of like an out of character moment.
There's a lot
Like,
of
this
out
is-
of character moments with Slott.
Yeah, I'm actually bring that up. Do you think Slott knows how to write Peter? And I
No.
know the answer to this probably because ever since Slott took the reins for Peter, he's been a man child, right? That's how everyone likes to describe him.
That's the thing that happened. I think after Superior, or like during Superior, like before it was fairly good. Like he took charge in a lot of situations. The Ends of the Earth, perfect example. He like I'm gonna help beat the Sinister Six and the Avengers and like save them all. But then Superior happened, and immediately Mary Jane's like, "Oh, Crazy Town Banana Pants is something Peter used to say." I'm like, "What? What are you
That's
talking about?"
interesting.
That
It's interesting you say that because I thought the man child aspect was before Superior even. I guess I mean it's been a while since I touched big time, but I just assumed that once Slott took full control, he just slowly delved them deeper into being a man child.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that you say that it was so recent as opposed to being
Yeah,
during Big Time.
there was a lot of points in Big Time where he took responsibility for things and whatnot. Like, no one dies, and like he got serious at that moment. And then like Origin of the Species was just before, but Brand New Day did sort of like again because it was mixed and there was that sort of man child aspect. Some writers did, but I think most of all, like Slott mostly had him more adult because he had him working at Horizon and like doing cool things by saving people and whatnot. And Spider Island, that was him taking charge.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then you have Superior, and then he starts out, and then they're saying, "Oh yeah, Crazy Town Banana Pants," and then then at the end of the first issue, like, "Oh, Ghost Peter's back." It's like, wait, well, he's already like first issue.
Oh
didn't even
yeah,
wait.
it was the next month. In fact, because ASM 700 was December and Superior launched immediately right after ASM ended in air quotes.
Oh.
Actually, this is something I should be actually been meaning to ask you. It's kind of not related to this, but it's still Slott. Do you not like Horizon? Because I get the feeling that a lot of people like from the server they're not like as a big fan of Horizon and Max Modell or any of those guys.
I have no
I-
opinion.
Yeah, for me, I actually thought it was decent. I thought it was cool to see a successful Peter, and it's like a Peter, who's using his brain to create lots of dice. I didn't like that they started being like, "Oh yeah, I'm basically the Lucius Fox for Spider-Man. I make all his tech." I didn't like that he admitted that. Like, isn't that putting you hugely at risk by admitting to everyone that you make Spider-Man's tech.
Yeah.
Well,
Kinda-
they didn't backtrack from that until later though, because Spider Island basically kind of nullified that entire thing, that entire one moment in time like spell, right?
Well, yeah, Spider Island when he like showed his identity, he made it so that people can discover his identity again. That's what that did.
Right.
Then he goes on telling like, I make Spider-Man's tech, no big deal. I used
No
to
big
take
deal.
pictures, what else?
No big deal.
So it's like, yeah, I'm basically best friends with Spider-Man. Don't come after me, villains. Like, why would a villain not come after you if you do all that for Spider-Man?
Oh, and speaking
Oh my
of
God.
one moment in time, that's like universally hated, isn't it?
Which one?
One moment in time? Was that Slot?
No, that was Casado.
Oh, okay. I definitely don't remember. I barely remember reading one moment in time. All right, so were there any high points of Superior for you, or did you just hate the entire thing? Like, was there anything you liked with Superior? Not just like the concept. All right, Anthony, you liked it for the most part, right?
Yeah.
What would you say like it's a highlight of Superior?
Since I haven't read all of it, I might not have a great opinion, but I would say, God, it's been a while since I kind of read it. They were in a prison, right? I forgot who was attacking them.
Yeah,
They went to
And
Spice.
he was like
It was
being
Spice.
really smart about it, like the whole
Oh, yeah?
situation. I thought that was kind of cool because
I can think of some.
using
some
his
down-
intelligence.
I can think of some immediately like bad low points of that was when he killed Massacre.
I got some high points I can give.
All right, high points. Let's hear it before I just like shove you down into hating it again.
Honestly, Agent Venom, that'll automatically make me more interested in anything.
Well,
So,
but that led to Superior Venom, which you hated.
Venom was garbage.
Yeah.
But I mean, it still had Flash in it, and he got so I'm automatically just more interested if Agent Venom's involved. My favorite character
Right.
does like Agent Venom, and he had a hand in creating him, like a very large part of that. Agent Venom and Anti Venom are two of my favorite symbiotes and like characters in general, and Slott helped make both of them. So
Yeah, it's a
gotta give
little
props for that.
double-edged sword, huh?
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right when there are extreme like red flags that they should have figured out. It wasn't Peter the Body, was when he killed Massacre, and that was in like issue 5.
Yeah, that
Really
was
early
something
on.
I was very upset about because so you first have the Avengers. They do scans on their brain, all these tests to say, hey, you're not a Skrull. You're off the Avengers, I guess,
Yeah.
because you're a jerk. So then he's like, okay, whatever, I don't need you. And then he makes his own friggin' like supervillain army or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that definitely didn't come yet. But then he fights Massacre, and then he beats Massacre, and then he's pointing a gun at his head as this guy's crying in front of him, defenseless,
He triggers.
and he shoots him point blank while people egg him on.
Yep.
Shoots a defenseless man in the face. And then you think there's gonna be some big fallout of this, and the next issue's like, oh, Spider-Man's really dealing with a lot of stress right now. He's kind of weird.
Silver
It's like,
Sable
what?
just died. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that because, and
So
it's
mad.
and it's interesting that in one of the later issues, because Carly and Yuri Watanabe, they're getting on to Otto, and they start interviewing cops, and the cops defend them for just shooting a dude in the face. Like they just like, oh yeah, man, couldn't tell if he did pull the trigger or not. Could have been freak accident. And I think it's interesting that no one went after Otto at all. They just brushed it off with dealing with stretchers ends of the earth that happened recently.
Tons of witnesses. Like there was tons of people around. who
Oh,
saw it.
absolutely, yeah.
Then it's not brushed off, but then like 2 issues later, they have to deal with the Jester and Screwball, who they're like pranking people.
Oh yeah,
Right.
and
And
he
then-
just completely fucks him up like bad.
He
Yeah, he
annihilates
brutally-
them.
Yeah,
And
he
then-
brutally
and then
beats
that's
them
when
down
the
'cause he
Avengers
gets
saw
pissed
him.
off.
Yeah.
And that
Brute-
was
And then he brutally beats them. It's all over the news, and then people are like, oh, Spider-Man, what did you do? It's like he already killed a guy.
Yeah,
It's
and then
like-
after that, that's when the Avengers noticed, and that's when they scanned his brain or whatever.
No, it's not when Spider-Man kills somebody. Like
Yeah.
Wolverine knows Spider-Man is not a killer, and he should have immediately like known something is wrong, and if not everybody else.
Anyone who
But no, beating somebody up really badly, that's bad.
like I feel like they could have done so much more with the tension of figuring out it wasn't Peter in the in the body, because there are so many other superheroes that know Peter and what he's about. Like they didn't Daredevil should have
Daredevil.
known. If Daredevil didn't show up, they could have done something with him. I'm saying, and you're right. Wolverine should have definitely smelled some red flags or something. That's what he does, right? Yeah, he's really.
Yeah, he smells, I guess.
Yeah. Well, was a little. I think it was either in the Daredevil comic or it was a Superior team up at that time.
Yes.
But yeah, so there was a crossover, and Daredevil's like, Spider-Man's not acting like himself, but he's like, his heartbeat that's his heartbeat. So I don't know.
Oh, that's interesting. And you know, I feel like Slott probably didn't do Superior a lot of justice. Let's be honest here. We've been shitting on him for the past 20 minutes or something. But he did show up in Scarlet Spider in Kane's run, and I thought that was I actually enjoyed that arc in Scarlet Spider when.
Oh, see, that was not during Kane's arc. That was Superior team up.
Was that Superior team up?
It was Superior team up, and it was written by Yost still. So.
Because it was pretty enjoyable. I really liked.
That's why I've said good concept, but it was just executed badly because Yost.
There's Dan Slott for
I think
you.
he wrote all of Superior Team Up. Was he fairly enjoyable? Like I enjoyed almost any other writer's writing Spock. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
There was this great. It was a all new X-Men, Incredible Hulk, Superior crossover, and
right.
It was really fun. It was like, and then Yost did a great job on the satellite title of just showing like what's Spock's thinking and like showing that he is still kind of a bad guy, and when he made the new his Superior 6 or whatever I think he called him.
Right. Yeah.
Mind controlling villains, and it showed him he still had faults and whatnot, a lot of faults.
Yeah.
And but then he brushed off because he's Otto, and so. All that.
And then I guess we got to talk about something that impacted past Superior Parker Industries. This is the inception of the infamous Parker Industries, which recently collapsed. And was there anyone who was on board with Parker Industries at the time of I remember not hating the idea of.
Like when they announced the all-new Spider-Man?
No. Because in Superior, he gets fired from Horizon, right? Otto gets fired from Horizon.
Yeah.
Or Horizon dissolves and he's alone, and he starts Parker Industries. And I'm like, well, I'm not a super big fan of Parker running a company, but I guess it's not really Peter. So let's just see where this goes.
Yeah.
And we know where it goes. It's not great. So what did you think of that, Tyler?
See. To me was almost like a natural progression from the Horizon thing. Like we're seeing a successful Peter, so what if we take that a step further? And it's a concept I didn't hate. Wanted to see it done well. I want to see a successful Peter done well. And as we can see, that has not been the case. It has been Iron Man light.
Absolutely. It has been Iron Man. That's a very good description of it. And now, Anthony, you are you caught up with ASM and Volume 3? You've read that, right?
Volume 3?
Yes, Volume 3 was Silk's introduction.
Yes, I have.
Okay,
read
cool.
that.
And
I just want to say just one last thing. I will say give props to Slott for the one in the last issue of Superior when Peter came back in the body and then he had the moment with Green Goblin where he's like, "It's you." Like that was great.
Oh yeah,
I'll say that.
Okay.
That's a great pain.
And okay, so Superior left a bad taste in your mouth. I think that's a fair assessment. What did you have any expectations when Peter came back for Volume 3 in 2014?
Well, I had sworn to myself that I was not going to buy any Spider-Man comics, like any of the like Superior, until like Peter Parker came back. So I swore that to myself, and I did it. And I bought issue number 1, and it kept I bought a variant though because I did not want Ramos cover. That was an awful cover for number 1.
I have like 2 copies of issue 1.
And also,
Uh,
I will say one more thing about Superior. One thing I'm very glad that came out of Superior was Superior Foes of Spider-Man.
Oh, that's right.
That
one of your
was amazing.
favorite
Like
things.
one of my top 5 books of all time. Like absolute.
Really?
Like I hated the idea at the time. Like it's like you're making a book about a bunch of like D-list villains. Like what? And then you know what? I gave it a read.
It's
And I'm like, this is amazing.
It's a
and
fun
I immediately
read.
went out and bought it.
It's a comedy. It's like a really meticulously planned heist, I would say. It's a really great payoff at the end of Superior.
Yeah, but anyway,
And that
and
gets
so
us
then we get into volume 3, I guess.
Yeah, that's volume 3. So you bought issue 1. What did you think of it? Let's start with
Not much had changed with Slott's writing. He just amped up the man-child thing. It's like, he lost his pants. He has to have a spider diaper. Like,
that was. I thought it was a funny joke because it seemed like he could, because Octavius changed the webbing formula so it lasted longer. So I don't think that was like, it wasn't as big a deal to me, I suppose. But I think I more or less was intrigued by the idea that there was another person who was bitten by the spider and has just been hiding in a bunker for 10 years.
I think that's kind of a dumb story, to be honest. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put you in a bunker for 10 years, cause why the fuck not? Like, I know the whole reason why she's in that bunker, but I do honestly think that should have only been Peter, and she should have gotten her powers somewhere else.
And that's definitely what kept me on volume 3 was I knew Spider-Verse was coming, and then there was this added layer of mystery with who the fuck was in this bunker, and the payoff wasn't great because
I was a very big hater of Silk when she first appeared.
Really?
On Skander.
When you saw like the bunker, like the segments of the bunker, what did you think of that?
When they said they were introduced another person who was like also bit by the spider, I was hesitant. I was like, but they were bringing Ezekiel, and I was a big fan of JMS, so I'm like, well, let's see where this goes. And then the character, and it's just like, oh, she sort of has better powers than him, despite being in a bunker this entire time. And then,
I think it's interesting. I can't speak today. I think it's interesting that she got like varied powers. Like she's not as physically strong as Peter, but she has organic webbing in her
and she's
spider
faster.
senses. Yeah, and her spider sense is slightly better or something.
But they were bit by the same spider, so how could she have different powers?
I don't know. I really like the idea of like varying power sets. Because I think it's like with this is a little off track, but Miles has like a weaker spider sense and then a slightly different power set.
Is it Miles also faster?
Miles, I don't think so. I think he's stat wise, he's more or less on par with Peter at the age, but his spider sense.
He's probably not as strong because he's younger.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he's got the 2 extra powers. But other than that, I'm pretty sure he's the same.
Yeah, and weaker spider sense. It's not as good, which is interesting. You'd think you'd want a better one, but I guess that's what the other 2 powers compensate for.
But anyway,
yeah, go for it. I talking about Miles for too long.
So anyway, the first few issues of the new volume were real rough because it was the ASM movie tie-in like just before Original Sin, that starts with Black Cat turning evil, and that was horrible.
Yeah, and that was definitely a seed that was planted in Superior. And that's
everyone else is suddenly just okay, you're not Doc. I mean, we're sorry, and like everyone else is able to figure it out.
Felicia
super easy, but Felicia isn't. Like Felicia goes like I understand her being mad, like I could see that, but then to turn into the new Kingpin,
right? Yeah, she's full blown
you were
evil.
A hero. Like you still burgled and stuff, but you were a part of Heroes for Hire for a while. Like you were a hero, and now you're like killing people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Such a huge change.
Yeah, that was definitely.
I hated it.
One of the several character assassinations, and then that arc ended without very much fanfare because no one gave a fuck about Electro. And after that original sin, we got Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah.
Did we have anything in between that?
So Spider-Verse was one of the main reasons I was still buying the title because I said
Oh yeah.
I was very from the first impressions I was getting. I was like, I don't think I want to read this. Slot hasn't changed. Why should I keep reading this? And then the advertisements came out for Spider-Verse. I'm like, I'll stick around for this because I love the concept. I love alternate universe and stuff, especially if it involves Spider-Man. So
wait,
this was basically.
Did you just say you love the Ultimate Universe?
No, alternate.
Alternate
universe.
How you said ultimate?
Ultimate. We're gonna have to get to that at in a later episode.
Man,
I got some things to say about Ultimate.
We'll bring you.
I'll miss that episode.
We'll bring you. Oh, that's right. No, we should have both of you on so you guys can fucking fight each other. So when Spider-Verse, when the first issue of Spider-Verse, I didn't read any of the Edge of stuff because I don't like having to buy more comics than I need to.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was pretty on board with the first issues. I'm like, oh, this is great. They're gonna group up and fight Morlun and his family of Morlun and his family of inheritors, which they didn't do anything for me as villains. And Tyler's gonna hate me for saying this. I never really gave a fuck about Morlun as a villain, even when I went back and read JMS's like spiritual run. I just thought he was.
It's like
a big, strong, bad guy. And
it's like they were just trying to force on us that he was like a big threat, but he didn't feel like a big threat.
And he was.
Yeah,
absolutely.
he was, but like he just.
And Tyler, what do you have to say to that? Because you this basically killed Morlun for you, right?
Pretty much, because I really liked Morlun in his first appearance when he fighting Spider-Man, he was just like this force of nature and like this cool, calm, chalant, like just sort of villain who just keeps coming. And I love the brutal battle Spidey's had with him. And then and then his appearance in the other wasn't as good. I liked him as a brutal appearance much better, but I still enjoyed him in the other. And then Spider-Man kills him, and then this happens and really killed Morlun for me. He turns into this whiny vampire, and then in addition to that, Slott gives him a bunch of other whiny vampires family, and it sucked because it's like, so you're giving me Spider-Verse and you're giving me Morlun, and it's like, this sounds great, and then it was awful. So,
well, actually, there's only one of the good things that came out of Inheritors, in my opinion, was I forgot his name. Was it Karn? He had the old
scuba
diving. Yeah. And I thought that was a good arc for him at the end, and he becomes a great Weaver.
Karn was okay.
I liked that part because we got Web Warriors after that, and I liked the Web Warriors run before it got fucking canceled.
Yeah. And then no, I'm not gonna.
More about Spider-Verse, I guess.
Yeah. So
it starts like Spider-Verse starts out with I believe it's Peter Parquois. It's 1602 Spider-Man.
Oh, and he gets fucking annihilated.
Immediately killed.
Yep. Never like 1602.
It started on a sour note. I really enjoyed 1602.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To see him immediately killed, it's like, oh, okay, so we're doing this, I guess.
Well, then that was like, I get what Slott is trying to do though with like power moves like that, killing off fan favorites, but that's not like it's
for me. It's just like oh, look how cool my villain is, killing all the other Spider-Man. It's like, look, he killed this Spider-Man you like. Oh, look, he killed this one. Look how badass he is.
Killed and his amazing friends.
And then he killed Mayday's dad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Killed probably one of the
again
best
with
things
the
C2.
Trying to force him being a threat on us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it felt forced.
And that's not even the worst part of Spider-Verse in your opinion, I feel, right? Because there's worse than that you did. No, I was talking to Tyler. Fuck.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but that's not even the lowest point. Is that right, Tyler?
For me, like Spider-Verse, there was the one of the moments I liked was when Spock came back, because of the time shenanigans.
Yes.
And Peter beat him down. I'm always up for a good Peter versus Spock beat down.
Yeah.
Peter's winning. I want to see, Spider-Man kick his ass. So, but then after that, getting more big moments. It's all Silk. Like, it's all becomes Silk becomes this huge part of it, and she's still awful under Slott. and he discovered, like, so then you have all these power levels too, because, like, so Solus comes into the Spider-Man, Cosmic
Like
Spider-Man dimension.
Yep.
Immediately kills him somehow. It's like, Peter, you know that they're weak to radiation. Why don't you just say, hey, Mr. Spider-Man, who can create literally any matter, if they come here, just zap with radiation, you're good.
Did they know that at the time with radiation though? Because I don't think they found out that until afterwards.
But Peter Parker knew that from the original JMS run. That's when he beat him the first time.
Oh, I remember. Yep.
So Peter Parker completely forgets how to beat them.
Well, I would say the logic in that is, since it's that I'm gonna no prize this, he probably never encounters Moreland as he stays with the Unipowers, I guess, because the Unipower
that Peter Parker should have just told Cosmic Spider-Man. He should have just told everybody, hey, these guys are weak to radiation. Heads up.
And then they don't find that out. Silk finds that out. You're right, because it becomes
like she's like, I know how to beat them. It's like he already knew how to beat them. It's like,
and I thought that ended up really anticlimactic. The ending of Spider-Verse anyway. They just shove him into the radioactive wasteland.
It's like, there it is. All this shit happened, and that's it. It's over. There's nothing more here.
And then was that again? Spock, it's a big moment, inspirational moment for Uncle Ben. Are you serious right now?
Which is should have been the easiest thing to do, but I guess Slott wanted to.
Slott's got to push his favorite character, I guess.
Because that would, everyone who knows anything about Spider-Man, that should have been a Peter Ben moment as opposed to.
Not to mention that was a world in that universe. Otto had destroyed that world, so that Uncle Ben was in.
Yeah. That I just realized that's pretty fucked.
So that and then it just ends. Like, and then also, I mean, I will say I generally like Kane's use in the story as well as the others. I do like the other stuff, and Slott does have a hand in Kane's character as well. And I'm glad he showed him not dead in the end.
Yes.
So, and because I gotta give him props for that, because he's, again, Slott has helped create 3 of my favorite characters.
Slott appears to be better at doing things that aren't Peter Parker.
Exactly.
Evident.
Like,
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's why Superior was kind of good for me. He was writing Doc Ock, not Peter, kind of, because he was.
I will say that. Yeah, I think he wrote Ock's personality was very good and gave him a lot of character progression, and then he got rid of that when he did the time thing. So.
Yep, it's very consistent. And then that leads into Volume 4, which was all new, all different. We get Parker Industries, and he's the richest man. He's Tony Stark. He's Tony Stark, but not as good. And that was
bootleg Tony Stark.
Bootleg Tony Stark, and that's where I guess that's where most of the hate nowadays. Even if you're not Tyler here,
that's where it's really started to take a dive
downhill. The first arc with Zodiac was uneventful, I would say.
I don't care about Zodiac at all.
It wasn't like offensively bad. It was just, who cares? It's not
it was just, look at all my cool spider tech and the Spider-Mobile and the spider plane.
My fucking rocket, my spider sub Prowler's back.
I guess watch me fall from orbit.
Like, I'm kind of glad they brought Prowler back, because I liked his.
Oh, I like Prowler. Like the
conspiracy stuff. It's specific miniseries, but that. And you're right, Tyler, and Anthony.
Yeah.
Slott's a good idea guy. He just can't fucking execute him in a way that anyone likes.
Yeah, like,
because there shouldn't inherently be a problem with giving Peter Parker a company. And like you said, it's a natural progression of things.
You could do a good story where Peter Parker is very successsul, but I don't think making him into like this Iron Man Steve Jobs type is the way to do it, because now
Steve Jobs.
Like, no, basically think about it. So you have this super incredibly rich man, and let's say Steve Jobs suddenly lost all of his money. Like, we'll get to this later when he loses. But everyone's still going to know who Peter Parker is. He's still basically a celebrity at this point. Like, if Steve Jobs lost all, or Bill Gates lost all of his money, Bill Gates on the street is.
And they can't do that. Yeah, they can't do that now. They can't just have.
They can't just put him back to what he used to be. Like, this guy is forever known. It might like his, I don't know what the right word for it is, hype, I guess, will die down, but everyone knows who he is and what he did.
It's not gonna be just like, oh, I'm Peter Parker photographer again. Like, you can't do that once you've been that high.
Yep. Well, all right, so all right. The big deal with Volume 4 for me is that I can't remember any of it because nothing matters. Nothing happens that matters in that book. Like, the only points I can remember well are Clone Conspiracy, and up to now, pretty much, because I vaguely remember Regent showing up, but nothing happened. It was just Clone Conspiracy and everything after that. That's all I remember.
Yeah, the Regent. I remember the Regent storyline because I hated it.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to describe ASM at the moment, is that it's uneventful, which is ridiculous when you have a Peter Parker that falls through orbit. Like, that's exciting, but how do you make it
so bland?
How do you make it so bland? How the fuck do you do that? And now I guess since let's talk about that Regent arc. What I liked the idea of bringing it back is I'm one of the people who liked Slott's Renew Your Vows. I thought it was one of his better stuff recently.
I didn't hate it. I'll say that.
Yeah, I was interested. I thought it was interesting that some of the people, who I've talked about didn't like it, compared to what he has now, which I would say that Renew Your Vows is much better than what he has now. But he brings the Regent back and he's doing the same thing.
But he brought back literally the worst part of the miniseries that he did. Like, Regent was horrible. It was the same thing with Morgan. It's like, look how badass this guy. He's beating all the X-Men. He beat all the Avengers. He's king of the world. And like, he's awesome. And it's like, oh my god, I do not care about Darkseid Light. Like,
it's bad. It's bad that he does look like Darkseid. Fuck. And the thing that irks me the most is that everything he does is off screen. We never see. It's like, how did he beat him? How did he do that? We don't know. It happened off screen. We just say.
It's like, oh, I have Colossus powers, so I just get, and Nightcrawler, so I get to rip the Hulk's arm off. It's like, that's not how that works. Like, you can't just say that you beat the Hulk like that.
I don't understand because all right, show don't tell is a big part of storytelling.
Exactly.
And Slott, especially with this Regent arc, especially with Regent in general, is that we never see Regent do anything. They just say he can, and it's not like, I'm not like intimidated because he suddenly has all the X-Men powers. He can shoot lasers out of his eyes like a Cyclops. They're not lasers. Don't correct me right now. I don't have. There's no gravity to anything he does because we don't know how he did it. It's not interesting. But I do like, if anything, that came out of it was, MJ in the fucking Iron Spider suit, and we got that sweet Alex Ross cover that I still don't have. I'm really sad I couldn't get one.
That arc, though, I really didn't like that. That arc really highlighted how much of a man-child Slott has turned Peter into.
Oh,
he gets into petty squabbles with Iron Man over just the stupidest things. Like, Peter Parker Spider-Man and Iron Man were literally arguing in front of Ghost, like, who Ghost should hate more. Kidding me? It's like, you're both two grown adults. And then it's like, oh, hey, and then in front of Miles, when they're in front of Miles, like, who should be the better mentor, basically? And then, like, they're like, oh, you're Peter Parker. He should get some tips from me on to make better web shooters. And Spider-Man just punches him in the face. It's like, the Spider-Man you're doing, he literally, like, punches someone because he's so mad. Like, give me a break.
What's with the tantrums?
So much for responsibility. Like,
let's punch a dude in the face because I don't like him.
So I hated that arc. I generally didn't like Clone Conspiracy.
Okay,
it kind of destroyed Ben Reilly's character, and then stopped telling us they're not clones because we know they're clones. Like,
well, at least we got the Ben Reilly arc out of it.
What's happening?
The Ben Reilly. mic dropped in quality. Sorry about that. Something's up with my regular mic. So where were we? Clone conspiracy, right? And here's another thing about Slot having
Can
good
hear you,
ideas. But
Diesel.
what's up?
Out or
Oh, sorry. I guess I have my volume really low, and I can't change it right now. Hold on. Let me just fucking fix it. Anthony, you guys.
I
you
guess
Clone
I'll just
conspiracy.
while I wait for him to figure out his mic, I'll just go into a bit of what I thought about clone conspiracy, and it's just like, so yeah, you're like ruining Ben Riley's character, and then also making retcon to Gwen Stacy's story without even getting rid of the Goblin thing. If this chick has all her memories, well, you could just like say, oh hey, no, I never did have sex with Peter, like Norman. So could have cleared that up.
That
You
was.
didn't.
I don't want to think about that.
Hello. Okay, we're good.
There you go.
All right. So, when I first heard they were doing Clones Conspiracy and it was called Dead No More, they flip flopped on the names or something. I didn't care because I never went back that far and read anything about clones, and so they brought it back, and I did care. But I remember reading it, and I thought it was interesting that I was one of the people who assumed the dude in the Anubis mask. I just assumed it was Miles Warren again. I didn't expect it to be Penn Riley under the mask. But in a spectacular turn of events, it was, and it was great, I guess. But I did like what I liked about Clone Conspiracy was how Ben Riley basically had like a failsafe where all the clones, they die unless they take this pill, and he had access to all the pills. But
I didn't understand his plan. It didn't make sense to me. So he brings all these villains back from the dead for no reason, and then gives them all their weapons and everything. It's like, this isn't raising any red flags for you, like, and then in addition to that, like Kane was saying, he was going to a bunch of universes where Parker Industries and New You destroy the world thanks to carrion zombies, right?
And that's a problem. That's the biggest problem. I feel like he was trying to do two stories at once. He couldn't.
We never saw the carrion zombies. Like, as soon as they got infected, everyone started getting infected with carrion, and they started breaking down. Like, there was no zombies involved. That was never a part of the story.
Yep, that's easily the weakest aspect that they brought, and it was probably the worst way to bring Kane back. It's like, oh, this carrion virus. Don't worry about the clones. We got a bigger deal going on with the carrion virus, and that never resonated with me. I didn't think it was interesting. I thought if he should have just stuck with the, Ben Riley's back. That should be a big enough pull of a story on its own without having to make.
Kane is what made me buy an issue. So.
Oh yeah, well, I just feel like Kane could have brought back in a better way. There was no Clone Conspiracy.
The zombie thing wasn't needed at all. Like,
absolutely, I agree.
It was so 100%. Bizarre. And then you have, what else with Clone Conspiracy? Then it ends with Peter Parker doesn't even really save the day. It's Anna Marie Marconi who does it. She's like, I'll
Anna Marie. I don't know about her as a character, as I do with most of Slott's characters.
I was never against her.
Anna Marie is one of the characters I think Slott has written well. I think she's one of the new characters that I actually kind of like. Anna Marie.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But a few good things that came out of Clone Conspiracy that he didn't directly do was that Scarlet Spider run, which is going, and you're enjoying that for the most part. Am I correct in?
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying Ben Riley's Scarlet Spider. I've never been a huge Ben fan, just because I wasn't part of the '90s, so I sort of passed him. And Kane's always been my Scarlet Spider, but Kane is a big part of that book, so that helps me like
absolutely. It. And then I usually never read like the extra, like the tie-in books, but I really liked the Prowler mini series we got. I thought that was a good read because I liked what they did.
My one problem with that is that it wasn't about Prowler; it was about Prowler's clone.
Right. So all that stuff was gone, but I guess it worked out in the end because he dies anyway, so they can just cap it off.
I hated how he was trying to tell us they weren't clones. Like, no, guys, they're not clones. These are the real them. They have all their memories. It's like their bodies regenerated. It's them. It's like, but then you just have Prowler come out of a tube at the end. Here's the real Prowler.
That also didn't make sense to me when I read the pre-Clone Conspiracy. Like, they said they killed Hobie, but then he's alive at the end somehow.
Because they put him in stasis in this tube that healed him.
I guess.
Or brushed off. It's like, he electrocuted to a charred corpse, but he's better now.
And he still makes it out, and I'm like, but that's not what happened. That's not what you told us happened. And Cloak Conspiracy is just a rough read.
Yeah,
it spawned some good things, I guess, and it also spawned Octavius, but superior. More again, I guess we got him back. He's
Pure octopus. Yeah, I have mixed feelings on that because the guy with dumb hair has never been super intimidating, but
yes. But now he's a muscular guy with
a stupid haircut.
Stupid haircut. Oh yeah.
Oh,
right. Well,
I don't hate the idea of Superior Octopus, but it's just very mixed feelings.
All right, we got one more thing. We got to talk about Secret Empire and the Goblin stuff, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, because
our longest episode.
Yeah, 60 gigs over here.
All right. Well, all right. We got to wrap it up. So, all right. The last arc he did before Secret Empire, we'll get there real quick, was the Osborn. He fights not Sokovia, Symkaria. All the names mess with my head, and I thought it was one of the better things Slott had written recently, but everyone, from what I heard, doesn't like it. But
I definitely didn't. It just felt like, again, Peter Parker wasn't even saving the day.
In his own book.
It was just all the other people.
And I can understand that, but I genuinely thought
fighting, she's like, I'll handle this person. Like, Spider-Man could have just webbed her up immediately. Like, all right, let's go fight Osborn now. It's just the whole thing. And then Spider-Man, he doesn't even do anything. He just punches him a bunch, and then they just both collapse basically.
Right.
And then, so everyone else saves the day. It's not Spider-Man. That's a big problem. It never seems like it's Spider-Man who saves the day in these comics. There's other people doing things that save the day.
And that pretty much wraps up that free issue arc. I think the biggest fucking nail in the coffin is that that 25th issue cost $10. Fuck that.
$27?
No, it cost $10. One of the first part of that arc was a $10 comic. You had to pay $10 to read it because it had a bunch of bonus stuff, but
no thanks.
It was ultimately uneventful. And that brings us to Secret Empire, the 2 Secret Empire tie-ins that we got, which destroy Parker Industries. And I thought it was okay. I wasn't particularly.
I definitely thought it was better than better things that he's done in this entire volume.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool getting to see Peter versus Spock again, and even though whatever you want to call him now, but
Nazi. Yeah.
Generally, I think it integrated the whole Secret Empire thing fairly well.
Yes,
and
much better than other crossovers do.
Yeah, without being too obtrusive. It's just this makes sense. This is sort of something he's been building up to, so we'll use this as an opportunity to do it. And then the beautiful Stuart Immonen art.
Oh, absolutely.
And then huge. Even though Peter Parker still sort of gets help saving the day.
Mm-hmm.
He still helps beat Otto in the end, and I love the reveal of the original suit. I hated that glowing symbol garbage.
I wasn't
against that. And then you have Parker Industries.
It's gone forever. I thought it was weird. He just had the suit under the suit. Didn't make any sense. Anyway, I guess real quickly, last thing we got to do, because this is gonna transfer into Legacy. He's dating Mockingbird, kind of. What's going on there?
It's a side hoe.
Yeah. Great.
It's another stupid gimmick relationship that's not going to last. Just like every single one of the Spider-Man's relationships ever since One More Day.
Great.
Because
that hurts to hear, but it's true.
Yeah, I'm not
One More Day.
Put
on a pedestal, and so nothing's ever going to come to that, and they know they can't do anything about it.
And I guess we have to wait till Legacy. Let's see how that turns out.
Yeah.
I'm very, very glad Parker Industries is gone. So,
but we are back with Peter Parker in an apartment, and apparently he can't eat anything in the refrigerator. None of his food is his own or something. That panel was weird when they revealed that.
Yeah.
I guess all right, let's quickly do some final thoughts on Slott, even though the last hour has been pretty indicative that we mostly think he's shit. I think I genuinely hope either he A gets better, which probably isn't very likely, or B that the rumors are true and he's gonna leave once 800 is up.
Good. Let's hope.
Well, that's the rumors, yeah. And I think, I hope we have seen Slott do good stuff. Maybe he can do good stuff again. Probably not. Anthony, what about you?
I'm just gonna try to keep my distance from Slott unless I hear something otherwise that he did something that's good or so bad that I have to read it. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
And Tyler, that leaves you.
I mean, I dislike modern Slott, but I think the Slott I used to know, I think he had good stuff. Like he helped create 3 of my favorite characters: Agent Venom, Kane, and modern Kane, I guess you would say, and then Anti Venom. And he did do good. I really enjoyed a lot of Spider Island. I enjoyed New Ways to Die and No One Dies, and I think he used to do good stuff. I enjoyed most of Big Time, but I'm just not enjoying his modern comics, and I cannot wait for him to get off.
And that ends it. Dan
Yeah.
Slott, if you were listening to this,
We're sorry.
please come.
but
Please, we're
do
sorry,
something
and
better.
please come on the show so you can defend yourself.
Yes.
Please do that.
Do that.
All right.
Yourself.
Yep.
Defend
and
yourself,
so-
not for just the community, but just for your
Just so you
dignity.
can come on the.
Yeah.
Yep. Come on the show, please. Tyler, thank you for coming on the show and spending an hour of your life fucking talking about Spider-Man.
I mean, I spent a lot more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we really appreciate you coming on. Maybe we'll have you on again, so you can
For-
shit on Ultimate
Yeah.
instead of Slot.
Go head to head with me.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's it. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. All right. Subscribe. You guys have been doing good with the comments and the likes. Just keep it going.
That like. Smash that
Smash
like button.
that. Can we get 2 million likes on this video?
Shut up.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.